All right, hello, everybody. My name is Michael or Kiratze Online. Hopefully, you guys are having a positively fantastic day so far, and I'm here back with some more Kingdom Death Monster. We're continuing our little prologue and intro to the game, and also Tabletop Simulator. We're going to be moving to the settlement phase now, because we just, in our last video, if you didn't see it, we beat the line, we beat the prologue line, everyone survived, and everyone was very, very happy. It was a very, very bad fight. I failed so many times. Gave the monsters so many opportunities to kill me. Luckily, with luck at the draw, the monster did not get the right cards. All right, so we're gonna put this back up on the table here as our selectable quarry. So again, for this part, once you're done the prologue, you do want to go to the first story and continue that. So it's going to teach you how to go through the settlement phase. I'm going to sort of speed things up a little bit. So when you go to the settlement phase, you're going to be wanting to go to this section here. This is going to lead you through the whole process. And so this little pawn helps you keep track of where you are in the settlement phase. So first off is to set up the settlement. Obviously, Tabletop Simulator has already set everything up for you, so you don't have to worry about that. Additionally, the only thing you have to do here, though, is because it's your first time ever playing the game, you will have to create a new settlement sheet. That is part of setting up the settlement here. And so the first thing it asks you to do is to name the settlement. We'll just name it. We'll just name it after the campaign my sister and I started, the Oasis. And then also it says here, when the settlement is named for the first time, returning survivors gain 1 survival. And luckily, all of our survivors are returning safe and sound. But unfortunately, you can only gain up to your limit. So Linda already has a survival, so she can't get any more. Greg spent his. Alan spent his. But Jody did not. So, all right, we refilled our survival. Also, returning survivors when they get to that stage, which is going to be now, because survivors return is the next one. You heal your survivors. So you get to uncheck all their stuff. If it's been checked, don't do the armor values. And also don't adjust sanity or anything like that. Just remove your injuries and any tokens you may have that are temporary tokens. All right, you got hit in the head. Man, everyone got injured like a fair amount. I'm surprised Jody's still alive, to be honest. All right, and from there, it asks you to move to the next step, which is gain endeavors. And endeavors are your currency for the settlement phase. This is going to be what allows you to innovate, to do more actions during the settlement phase. Very, very important currency. And you get 1 for every returning survivor. So we get 4 because everyone survived. All right, so after you gain endeavors, you're going to want to move to the update timeline and also settlement event step. So normally this is going to be a randomly drawn event from the settlement events deck. But because this is the very, very first time you encounter this, it's going to have this one. This is the very first settlement event that happens at every single new campaign. The survivors wander, drawn to a blooming light in the distance. They find the serene comfort of a towering pile of lanterns and a small collection of scared people. On a deep instinctual level, they know this area is safe and they make it their home. Roll 1d10 to determine your starting population and record the result on the back of the settlement record sheet. Choose and record genders for unnamed survivors, and you may name an unnamed survivor and create their survivor sheet at any time during the settlement phase. So we have to roll a 1d10. Pretty straightforward there. We'll just grab one here. Higher is better. Oh, we only got a 3. So that means we only get 6 unnamed survivors plus returning survivors. Yikes. So we go down to our settlement sheet here, and then we just put this up to 10 because we have 4 survivors plus the 6 that we got from that event. All right, so that was not great. Not great at all. Return to the settlement section of the first story and proceed to update the death count. First things first, though, we have to also update the timeline in this section. And if you go to the timeline on the settlement sheet, you'll have to check mark whatever lantern year you're on. So we're on the first lantern year, so we check mark that. And you can see there's a story and special event. If you see this little book symbol, that means you have to go to an event that's in the book. And so we have to go read the returning survivors because we updated the timeline there. So we go to the timeline events, go to returning survivors, and do this. So nominate a survivor to utter the first words. The nominated survivor steps forward. First let's nominate a survivor. So you know what? Let's nominate. Linda did pretty good. We're gonna nominate Linda. And again, you can do this as a group. The nominated survivor steps forward and gains 1 courage. Awesome. So we'll check that off on her sheet. They lead the other survivors to learn to speak to one another. They discuss their situation, realizing they must hunt to live. Add the white line to the quarry list on the settlement record sheet. and that is in the bottom right here. Your settlement gains the language innovation. Search the innovation cards for language and place it a face up in your play area and record it on your settlement sheet. Language is your first innovation and it will spark the creation of the innovation deck. Now, you would normally do this in the physical copy of the game, obviously, but this version of Tabletop Simulator, or this version of Kingdom Death in this Tabletop Simulator, already does everything for you. So this card right here is going to be the language innovation card. It's going to increase your survival limit and also give everyone the encourage survival action. Also, you're supposed to add the language consequences to the innovation deck to make the very beginnings of your innovations deck. Again, this version of Kingdom Death in this Tabletop Simulator already does that for you. Pretty straightforward there. But we do need to increase our survival limit to 2. And that also means we also do it for our survivors as well. Alrighty. So now that is done. And the innovations deck is made, so we can sort of skip over that. If you want to read through the middle part, though, that's how you do that. And then Glowing Center. Armed with language, the nominated survivor aptly names the glowing center of their home, the Lantern Horde. The settlement gains the Lantern Horde settlement location. So all the settlement location cards are here. It's going to be in order, so this top left one is going to be your Lantern Horde, and that's going to be how you start to build up your settlement. The nominated survivor sits in front of the Lantern Horde in awe and gains +1 understanding. They must skip the next hunt phase as they ponder the meaning of existence. So, Linda gets +1 understanding, but does have to sit out of the next hunt phase. You can also check mark this box right here to sort of showcase that in case you want to remember. Alright, and then we need to return to the first story to complete this, complete the settlement phase. That's just in the rules book. But that essentially just puts you forward and into the develop area. We also need to update the death count, but no one died, so we update the milestone events. Oops. And milestone events are similar to timeline events, but obviously they're just milestones. And it's just a way for you to remember. Generally with milestones, you will be updating it right as it happens. Such as like the age milestones, courage milestones, or understanding milestones. You would go to the book and do what it says there right when it happens. But in the right side here, you can see story events and milestones. Unfortunately, we have not gotten any of these, so we don't check mark any of these, and we don't do any of the principles and stuff like that. So we just ignore that for now. So we can go into the very next phase, which is one of the big ones, which is develop. And this is going to be where you're going to be spending your endeavor and building new weapons, gear, that so on and so forth. So we can go here and we can see we can spend an endeavor, a bone, an organ, and a hide to innovate, which allows us to draw 2 cards from the innovations deck, and we get to choose one and put it back and put the other one back into the deck. And from there, that's going to be how you're going to be building your innovations. And innovations are just going to represent how you are progressing as a settlement, you know, technology-wise, education, faith, etc., etc. And every single one of those is going to have, you know, permanent boosts, temporary boosts, all that stuff. So it's very, very good to innovate. We can also get rid of this first day event and leave it out of the campaign from here on out because, again, like I said, normally you're going to be drawing a random event. We can also use our endeavor, which is represented by that little star symbol, to build bonesmith, skinnery, and organ grinder. And we're going to actually do that. We have 4 endeavor, but we're going to spend one of those to build the bonesmith. So we can just delete that one. That's going to be this one right here. We are going to spend another endeavor to build the skinnery, and we're going to spend another endeavor to build the organ grinder. And those are going to be your early pieces of gear that you can build, which generally will just use the basic resources. And you can also just build anything you want in this portion. So if you wanted to build stuff for your survivors, you can do that now. But we have one more endeavor. We luckily have 1 organ, 1 bone, and 1 hide we could use. We could also just use the love juice to actually do intimacy. That is actually not a bad idea. But I'm actually going to ignore that because I would actually just rather innovate. Yeah, we'll use the organ to innovate. So we have an organ, a bone, and a hide. Again, we can delete all these, even though these are the monster-specific resources, because we need copies. We can just feel free to delete them. So we're going to spend those plus the endeavor to innovate. And you can only do this once per settlement phase, so even if you had more of those resources, you cannot innovate more than once in that phase. So draw 2 innovation cards from the innovations deck. And you pick one, put the other back in the deck. So we have the choice of either drums or hovel. So this is a music consequence. We can, once we have this innovation, we can spend future endeavor to do bone beats. The survivor gets to, and you have to actually choose a survivor to spend the endeavor. So let's say we chose Linda. She could spend an endeavor to do bone beats. We would select one. We can drum alone, so we get +2 insanity, or rhythmic trance. That survivor gains +2 survival. And then, or gain the Rhythm Chaser fighting art or Synchronized Strike secret fighting art. Whoa. Whoa, you can just spend an endeavor and get this? That's pretty intense. I've actually never seen this one yet. That's a pretty good one. Otherwise, we have Hovel. Hovel will increase our survival limit, so we'll have more survival points to use throughout the showdowns and hunts. And this means the settlement accepts their nightmarish landscape as their home. All departing survivors gain +1 survival. That is also really good. You know what? I might actually choose Hovel. Drums is also very good. I actually don't know which one to get. We'll just choose Hovel because I've done that before. So because we chose Hovel, it's a home. It's a home innovation. So we look here at the categories. This one says home, so we put that in that slot. And then because that says departing survivors gain +1 survivor or +1 survival, you can go down here and you can mark that on here. Just sort of keep track of that. And we get to put the drums back in the innovations deck. Now, because we drew and selected the home, the Hovel consequence, we now have to go into the innovations box, search, type in Hovel, and then we have to add more cards in there. So every time you pick a new innovation, you'll be adding more cards to choose from in your innovations deck. It's a really, really cool like skill tree, randomized skill tree. So that goes in the innovations deck because these are all Hovel consequences. And then we give that a shuffle. Awesome. So now we'll have more things to choose from in the future. And again, this increases our survival limit by another one, so we get to increase our survival limit here. I believe also marking it on the settlement sheet, when you pull new survivor cards, survivor sheets out, it'll come with the updated survival. And we're gonna have to do that pretty soon here anyways, because we can't use Linda for the next hunt, so we'll have to make a new survivor anyways out of the pool that we have. It also did mention before that we did have to mark the gender of all the unnamed survivors. I just didn't do that just to sort of make it for time's sake. But yeah, you should have done that earlier. All right, now we have some gear to build. We have 3 hide, or 4 if we want to archive the shimmering mane. And we also have a bone claw. Yikes. So we did spend some resources. Unfortunately, we can't use scrap. So I'll just like keep this aside for now. We don't have the right vendor for that. But you know what? Jody and Alan do not have weapons. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend a bone, and I'm going to build a bone. I'm going to build bone darts. You know what? Let's make a ranged weapon. Why not? So we're gonna delete this. This only costs 1 bone to make. We're gonna search for the bone darts. Now, again, it makes a copy, so you just want to make sure to take it and drop it back on there to combine the deck again. And we'll just put this here for now. When we go to the departing survivors phase, we will equip everyone and make sure everyone's all geared up. All right, so we have technically 4 hide. And I think I do want to use up all that hide to build 2 sets of chest and headpieces for raw hide. So we are going to archive this to gain 2 basic hide resources. So I'm just going to delete this, and we'll just copy. All right, just to make it a little bit easier. So we have 4 hide. And if we look at the skinnery here, a rawhide headband and a rawhide vest, they both gain, or they both only cost 1 hide. And I do want to protect mainly the chest and the head area, because the head area is really easy to injure, and the chest, there's more chances to actually get the chest hit location on the dice. So those are 2 very important pieces to actually protect. And we're, we can build 2 sets of those. So we're going to delete those to represent us paying for that. So we get rawhide vest. Oh, whoops. Should put that back on the deck so it knows to combine it and copy it again. And then we're also going to get rawhide headband. All right. Now, we can talk about the gear a little bit because you can see these little symbols, the little colored symbols. Let's talk about that. So, if we go to the gear grid here, you can see they sort of go as a little puzzle almost. You can see that if I go here, this actually connects the 2 blue symbols together. That is what is called affinity, and that's one of the main things in this game that's really, really cool, and that makes gear really unique in terms of how many combinations you can have. So you can see that they each has different affinity requirements for special abilities. You can see that on the rawhide vest, we have 2 puzzle piece affinities. Now, there's 2 different types of affinity in this game. If you look on other pieces of gear, they might have solid colored squares as their affinity symbols. That just means it's just regular affinity. If it's puzzle pieces, that just means it's puzzle affinity, which means that for puzzle piece affinity, to unlock the bonus, you have to complete it on that piece. So, for example, we have to complete the red side here. Luckily, we did build a bone darts item that has a left-facing red affinity. So now, if we do that here, it unlocks that +1 evasion. And unfortunately, the affinities, I believe, aren't scripted. So you have to update that manually. So Alan now has +1 evasion. Additionally, we do have this special ability on the headband where we can do an activation and reveal the top 2 AI cards and place them back on top of the deck in any order. And deck manipulation in this game is very, very strong as well. We're going to give this other set to Jody because she doesn't have any weapons. Unfortunately, we could only unlock the blue affinity. Now, if we had regular square affinity symbols, that just means that you have to complete that required amount of affinity anywhere on your gear grid. So it doesn't necessarily have to be connected to that piece of gear. It just means in general. Additionally, affinity bonuses can only be done once. So if we had like two blue and 2 red puzzle affinity, we wouldn't get +2 evasion. You can only get the affinity bonus once. All right, so that I think is going to be everything. We used up all of our resources because we can't use scrap. So now we're going to move to preparing the departing survivors. So because we know departing survivors get +1 thanks to Hovel, +1 survival. We're going to want to make sure to update that on our sheets. Additionally, we have to make a new character. So drawing from our unnamed pile, we'll just grab a new character sheet here. And you can see that, yes. Oh, I didn't update that one though. All right, so we have to update that because we have 3 max survival. And we'll name you Betty and Veronica. And because we named that survivor, gets +1 survival, plus she's going to be one of the departing survivors, so we get another survival. These are departing as well, so they each get a survival. And that is going to be good going into the next hunt, having plenty of survival to do things with. All right, after that, we've equipped all of our gear that we need to as well, so we don't need to do any of that. So now we move on to recording and archiving resources. So this is the section where if you were playing in paper form, you would write down all of your leftover resources and then put the other cards back into the deck box. But because we made copies, again, we can just leave them in the settlement resource area. So then we end the settlement phase. So that is going to be the settlement phase. I'm not going to make another separate video for this because we can move straight into the hunt phase because that is going to be a little bit shorter anyway. So let's just move on to the hunt phase. So if you look down at the settlement settlement sheet, you can see from our list of quarries, we only have 1 monster we can actually hunt, which is going to be the white lion. Now this is not going to be the prologue lion. This is going to be a regular level 1 lion since, yeah, we're in the real game now. We're in the real league, the big leagues. So it's going to be a tougher lion. Yes, it's going to be tougher than what we already fought. So to set up the hunt, we're going to go to the Showdown Setups section. We're going to select whatever monster we are hunting. And you can see here at the very top section, it shows you how to set up the hunt events on the hunt board. You can see the numbers represent what level of monster you're hunting. You can see if we've hunted a level 2 or 3 monster, we would be placing it further on the hunt board, which would make it harder to get to. But because we're facing a level 1 quarry, we're going to be placing that here. The E represents the special monster events that are going to be placed on the board. So from earlier, we drew the White Lion Hunt Events deck from the deck box. Again, if you need to do that, you can just search from it in the White Lion section. We're going to give it a shuffle, and we're going to place it wherever there is an E. So we're going to do it face down. So there's an E there, an E there, an E there, an E there, an E there. And then from there, you go to this basic hunt events, and you're just going to place it. You're just going to, excuse me. You're just going to place those in the leftover slots. You don't really even need to really shuffle these ones, just because the basic hunt events, they're all the same. They're all just roll D100 on the hunt event table. But I believe this is still important, though, because I guess it is still important to get in the habit of shuffling, because I think in the future expansions, they'll bring in more hunt events. So from there on, you're ready to start the hunt. And so how the hunt works is every single every turn, you're going to be selecting a new survivor to be the hunt revealer. So just make sure you keep track of that. So we'll start with Jody. Jody will be the first hunt revealer. So you just move your pawn up, flip over whatever hunt is there. So we have Prowling Lion. While the survivors stalk the white lion, the monster hunts something else. Move the white lion one space away from the survivors on the hunt board in pursuit of its prey. The white lion starts the showdown with ground fighting in play. Build its AI deck normally. Awesome. Okay. That's actually bad for us. You don't want the hunt to be moving further away, because overwhelming darkness is really, really bad once you get to that stage, and everyone has to do it. Additionally, if you get here, you have starvation. So you remove D5 resources from settlement storage, and I believe the hunt ends, and you have to go back to the settlement without doing anything, I think. I'm not 100% sure about that. But either way, getting to this stage is bad. So it did say it starts with hunt, or it starts with ground fighting in play. We're also going to move this out of the way, because this is the basic White Lion AI deck, a prologue deck, and we don't need to use that anymore. So we're going to have to go into here. Actually, we'll do that later. We'll just remember that we have to start with ground fighting in play. All right, so that was red. Now Alan can go as the hunt revealer, so we move to the next step. All right, we got Scratching Grounds. Claw marks scar the ground. The survivors may choose to investigate. Each survivor that investigates gains 1 courage and rolls on the table. If no one investigates, you just roll 2 dice for the D100. And that's what these represent. You can see this is the 10s slot and this is the 1s slot. So you roll both those dice to see what you get on the D100. But you know what? We are going to do this because the upsides are really, really good. So each survivor can choose. And we're going to have everyone do this. Screw it. Why not? So let's roll for Jody first. Jody is going to investigate. So we roll 1d10. Higher is better. Yeah, with how I've been rolling, that makes sense. We got a 1. Now, we still get the courage from rolling that, regardless of what we roll. So that is always nice. But sifting through the rubble, a shifting stone crushes the survivor's hands. The survivor suffers 1 event damage to the arm's location. So this says 1 event damage. Damage you receive in the hunt phase is generally just going to be event damage. And what that means is event damage cannot make you roll on the severe injury table. It can still make you get up to heavy injuries, but let's say that we got another event damage to our arms, we would not roll on the severe injury table. Now that does mean though that we're going into the fight a lot more injured. So yeah, the hunt phase is a lot of risk and reward. Just bear that in mind. All right, so we're gonna do Alan. Alan gains a courage, especially after seeing Jody get her hands crushed. You know, let's use this dice. Maybe this dice is better. All right, that's a natural 10. That is so much better. So that means a prize in the rubble underfoot. Gain 1 lion claw white lion resource. Perfect. So we're gonna search this white lion resource deck. We are gonna get a lion claw resource, and again, we're gonna make a copy of that just so we can keep things. Actually, no, you don't want to make a copy here. Sorry. The only reason for that is because, let's say we depleted this during, like, for some reason, let's say we depleted this deck of all of its resources in both the hunt and the showdown phase. we would not be drawing from the deck even if something required us to draw from the White Line Resources deck. The only way the deck refreshes is after this step in the settlement event phase, when you record your resources and then put the cards back in the deck box. So we are going to leave that where it is. We're not going to copy it. But this resource does go on top of the survivor. This does not go straight back to the settlement. That does matter because depending on what resources you have on you, certain events can affect that. So whoever got the resource, make sure you put it on the right character sheet. All right, so that was a good one. Alan, all right, Greg is up next, so Greg gets a courage. Greg's feeling good about things after seeing Alan win. That's gonna be a 3. Unfortunately, that also means that his arms get crushed. All right, if Betty can at least get out of here with like something good, it'll be 50-50 on both good and bad things happening. Oh, that was so close to a natural 10. That is unfortunately just a 6 where nothing happens, but I mean, I guess that's better than getting your hands crushed. But she still got a courage out of it, so it's still fine. All right, that was Alan being the event revealer. Now Greg is the event revealer, so Greg's gonna move up. And that is gonna be a basic hunt event, so that's just gonna be a regular roll 2 d10s and go on the d100 table. So the whites, the 10 section, the brown dice is the 1s section. So that is gonna be 76. So if we go to the hunt events here, go down and we look for 74 to 79. We want to look for 76. 76 is Antler Gouged. Oh, sounds. Oh wait, no. 76. Dream the Way. Sorry. The survivors have vivid, fevered visions of what lie ahead. All at once, they are startled, awake, and frantically compare the horrors they saw. Each survivor rolls 1d10. If any survivor is a savior, their powerful dream envelops the group. Each survivor may select whatever die roll they want. If any survivor's rolls are the same, those survivors discover they have the exact same dream. They gain 1 insanity. If any duplicate rolls are 10s, the event revealer may re-roll any one roll result this hunt phase. Oh, if any duplicate rolls are 10s, the event revealer may re-roll any one roll result this hunt phase. Or any one die roll, not just their roll. All right, so this has no negatives. So, unfortunately, we have no saviors in our group right now, but everyone's going to roll a 1d10. So we can just go here, actually. Spawn 2 more, because we have 4 people in the group. So we want duplicates. We got no duplicates. We got a 5, 6, 8, and a 4. Unfortunately, that means nothing happens. Yeah, if any survivors' rolls are the same. All right, so nothing happens, so that's that hunt event. All right, so that is going to be Greg. So Betty is the next hunt revealer. Basic hunt event. We're going to re-roll that. All right, that is a 69. 69. All right. Yes, I'm immature. Time lapse. The glow of the survivors' lanterns blur, forming trails of light behind them. If the settlement has fought a phoenix, the group recognizes the phenomenon. All survivors gain +1 understanding. Unfortunately, we have not fought the phoenix yet. The event revealer rolls 1d10 on the table below. If any survivor has an hours ring, they may instead select a die result. All right, we're going to have to go to the next page for this one because it's cut off. All right, let's roll a 1d10. Fortunately, we do not have a hours ring, whatever that is. Oh, we got a natural 10. Okay. Higher is always better, so that's really, really good. The survivors are suddenly standing by their quarry. Start the showdown immediately. Oh, all right, that's good. I mean, doesn't really matter in this situation because the next move we would have actually started the showdown anyways. So it starts the showdown immediately. Awesome. Now, just in case that didn't happen, the next turn we would have moved into this space. You start the showdown immediately once you enter the monster space or the monster enters your space. And you don't resolve the card that was underneath it. Now, this is important though as well. If the monster enters your space, that means you've been ambushed. And when you've been ambushed, the monster essentially gets to go twice at the start. So yeah, real bad. So we're going to be starting the showdown. So we're going to put these back. Again, make sure you just shuffle them the next time that you do the hunt phase. All right, so we have to go to the showdown setups phase, go to the white line. Now this is I'm gonna show this part because this is gonna be a little bit different than the prologue. So it's going to show you in the bottom left, as well as on the basic action card that we saw here, what the different decks are going to be made. Again, you don't use the prologue deck anymore, so you can just get rid of this if you want to. But we're going to go to the white line deck, go to search, and we're going to look for the basics deck and the advanced deck. So the basics AI deck is going to be here, and we're going to look for the advanced AI deck, and that is going to be that. We don't need the legendary one for the level 1 line. So how to set up the regular level 1 line is you're going to see this BAL. You need to draw 7 cards from the B deck, 3 cards from the A deck, and that is going to be your wound. That is going to be your AI deck. So we're going to shuffle these, and we need 7 basic. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we need 3 advanced. All right, and that's going to have 10 wounds in total. 11 wounds in total to kill it. So you can sort of see it's a lot stronger, as well as if you look here, the level 1 line has 8 toughness, not 6. Additionally, we'll have to make sure to flip these over, and the hit locations, you have to make sure to shuffle those. And then also make sure to shuffle the wound deck, or sorry, the AI deck. Now, after you're done that, what's different as well is every showdown is going to have its own terrain. So you can sort of see here underneath the showdown setup area in the center, it says terrain and development, or deployment. 1 tall grass terrain card. So we're going to search this terrain deck right here. We're going to drag the tall grass out. We're going to flip it over. And terrain's going to affect the battlefield, obviously. So tall grass survivors in the space occupied by tall grass gain +2 evasion, so it's really good for us. And you are the ones that set up the terrain, so you have the tactical advantage of seeing where they go. For the tabletop simulator, just click this plus button in the top right of the card. It'll actually spawn the models for you, which is really, really useful. And then also, just for a future reference, you can keep the cards in this section because they do have rules attached to them. And then we also, from the showdown sheet, you can see it says 2 random terrain cards set up normally. So we got Bug Patch and Toppled Pillar. We're going to spawn both of those. And then you always look on the bottom of the card to see where it goes. So tall grass just has to be set up at least 4 spaces away from all other tall grass. So that's pretty easy. First, also, let's make sure we set up our quarry. So we could even set up the tall grass just like right beside the line if we wanted to. But you know, because we know the monster goes first, we're going to set up the tall grass here, because that's 6 spaces away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because we know the monster's going to attack us first. So that way we get to start with the benefit of being in the grass already. But we still have to be 4 spaces away. 1, 2, 3, 4. At least 4 spaces away from the other tall grass. So we'll do that. For the bug patch, it says set up adjacent to the monster. So that just goes anywhere around the monster. We'll just put it right there. Keep that for the rules. And for the toppled pillar, it says set up at least 5 spaces away from the monster. So this can be used as a way to block vision. You can see this is an obstacle, so it blocks survivor and monster field of view. It interrupts ranged weapon attacks and monster targeting. It's also impassable, which means the survivors cannot move through it. Now that means the monster can. The monster ignores the impassable term, so it can still go through this object. And also you can spend an action. If adjacent to the pillar, you can also just hop over it with an action. But we'll place that just on the side here. And that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces away. All right, and then after that, it's just a matter of setting up your survivors. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not quite in the right spot. Move this here. Move this here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put you there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll put you there. Who's actually the one that has the darts? Alan has the darts. So we're going to actually put Alan 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh wait, we can have this 5 spaces away, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that can be here. Because otherwise this would be 6 spaces away. Alright, so we can put Alan behind this pillar, which means it doesn't have vision. Then for you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, we might have you try and get the bug patch, because stuff like this, you can actually roll d10s and activate it. If you're adjacent or on top of it, you can spend an activation to harvest it and potentially get something good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll put you there. All right, and then from there, you're ready to start the showdown. Again, any terrain rules, you can just go back here and see what they are. But yeah, that's gonna do it. And yeah, I'm not gonna run through this fight, but it is gonna run out the same way. And then from here on out, that's gonna be the cycle. You're gonna do a showdown. Whatever you survive with, you're gonna bring it back to the settlement, do your innovations, build up your settlement, grow your settlement, and then from there you're going to pick a new quarry, you're going to hunt it, and then of course along the way, whenever you do encounter these nemesises, these are actually special encounters where a monster will come visit your settlement, and you're going to have to actually defend against it. But you guys can discover that on your own. And that's one thing about this game is also I don't want to show too much, is because I want to get you guys interested in the game, because I do want you guys to play it yourself. It's a really, really fun game, and I do hope that if you do buy the Tabletop Simulator version, or if I do hope that if you have or buy Tabletop Simulator and you download this from the workshop and you try it out and you really enjoy it and you can find some friends to get in on the physical version, I highly recommend it if you're into miniatures as well as just having that physical board game social aspect to it, because it's a really, really fun game. I'm super excited to play it with my friends, even just playing it with my sister. She had a really, really awesome time as well, and it's such a unique and deep experience in terms of board gaming. And I've probably only experienced maybe 5 to 10% of the game in the 10 to 15 hours I've played so far. So it's got a lot of game, and it's got a lot to offer, and discoverability is one of the big attractions to this game. Around every corner, you're just like, what is this? What is this? What's going to happen? And from there, you can sort of bring your own story to the game, which is really, really cool, because it's not like one of those games like Sword and Sorcery or something like that where it has its own railroaded set story. From here, it's just you get to create your own story. In addition to anyone who enjoys gear mechanics, like this is the game for you. There's a lot of sort of metagame to this game with the settlement area, and yeah, there's just a lot of different ways you can go. There's hundreds and hundreds of hours of content. And if you do have the Tabletop Simulator version of this game, you have access to all the expansions as well. So if you are interested, make sure to look online before you input any of the expansions, because they do affect the game heavily. Additionally, if you are interested, there are a bunch of different variant rules to the game to make it easier or harder if you want to. Just because some people don't like their characters just dying by a random roll. There are stuff like hero mode where your survivors actually don't die, they just go unconscious. Like there's a lot of different ways you can play this game, and on top of that, do your research online. The community in itself has just so much content that they've made themselves. So if you want to find more home brews and home rules, make sure to look online. They do have their own Kingdom Death subreddit. They're very big on Board Game Geek, and yeah, also make sure to check out the painting stuff. The miniatures that people paint in this game are just freaking fantastic, and because the models are already so high quality, it just adds to the miniature quality, and adds to the painting aspect to it. So all right, I'm done. That's my blurb about Kingdom Death Monster. Hopefully it piqued your guys' interest at least a little bit. If you guys would actually like me to continue playing a campaign or something by myself, let me know. I actually might plan on trying to see if I can get some more people interested in this to play with me on Tabletop Simulator, and actually stream it. If you guys want to keep an eye out for that, make sure to follow me on Twitter and my Twitch. You can find that in the description below. And join my Discord. Those are all, of course, the best ways to keep up to date on the channel. Currently, we're playing Resident Evil 2 Remake, but then, we have a bunch of other stuff coming up in February and March. So yeah, keep your eye on the channel. Got a lot of fun things coming up. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little introductory series to Kingdom Death Monster, as well as the Tabletop Simulator. And yeah, go out and have some fun. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.